What to do when one person takes up 2 parking spaces?
Fuck you.
What about those who dance early in the morning on weekends? What about those who don't listen to advice?
Let's get away from.
What if there are experts on TV giving advice? What if someone makes a noise in the cinema? What about people who talk loudly on the phone?
Is caving in. Never been so nuts about the guy you wanna let.
I'm recording this.
Thanks for not talking during the future. Thanks for turning off your cell phone. The old man's name is Frank. A few days ago, he was a good, law-abiding citizen, although unhappy with the state of affairs in America, but only complained about it to his colleagues, until that day when he was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor. He had a maximum of 3 or 2 months to live. Frank was stunned. He sat in the corridor, overwhelmed and confused, but then someone came along and told him,
"Sir, you can't be here."
When he got out, Frank called his ex-wife, hoping to see his daughter before she died, but her daughter refused her.
There's nothing to do at your house.
Frank was devastated. He was about to say something to his ex-wife. His ex-wife tells him she's getting married to her new boyfriend. After hanging up the phone, Frank went into the office. To his surprise, his boss called him into his office and told him to pack his things and leave immediately, because the new receptionist had complained about sexual harassment, and he just used to smile at the receptionist every day. He even kindly gave her a book. Honest Frank lost his job of 11 years without even having a chance to explain. At night the neighbors played music loudly and on time, with the sound of crying babies. Frank couldn't sleep at all. He had approached the neighbor many times, but not only did he ignore him, he deliberately took up a parking space and blocked his car. Frank had to beg him to move his car every day, then he would slowly get out. Unable to sleep, Frank called his ex-wife again to see his daughter the next day, but his daughter was rolling on the ground because her mother had bought her a mobile phone. She was rolling around on the floor. This was the last straw for Frank. He took out a gun and stuck it in his mouth. The old man had the gun in his mouth. He's about to pull the trigger when he sees a rich girl on a reality show cursing her parents, and all the parents do is apologize to their daughter. Frank slowly puts the gun down and decides to do something for the world before he dies. He went out and slammed a bottle of wine on his asshole neighbor's doorstep. Then he took the neighbor's bumblebee and drove off. From a distance, he locks up the rich kid from the TV. When the rich guy is alone, Frank goes up to him with a gun and locks his hands on the steering wheel. Then he opens the gas cap, stuffs a rag into it, douses it with gasoline and turns around. Nice move. It was all done, but the wind blew the cloth away. And to make matters worse, the rich kid's classmates were heading this way. Frank had no choice but to kill the rich kid with one shot and then turn around and run. Instead, he ran into a girl in the woods.
Did you just kill Chloe? Awesome.
Frank didn't have time for her. He made his way to a motel. His mission was complete and he could finally leave. But then there was a sudden knock at the door. It was the girl from earlier. The girl's name was Anna. After seeing Frank kill an uneducated rich kid, she'd taken her for a hero and offered to join her. But all Frank wanted to do was die. So Anna put on the plastic bag. Quietly, she watched Frank kill himself. But Frank was about to shoot when Anna suddenly interrupted him. She suggested that Frank should kill more of the world's bad guys before he died. Frank thought it was right. After some discussion between the two of them, the next target is the rich girl's parents. They think they have all the money in the world. They think it's only right that they spoil their daughter. Frank kills the man without saying a word. The woman runs away. The woman runs away, only to be killed by Anna, who is in ambush. When they were done, they went to the car wash to clean the blood. Frank tells Anna to go home and not to follow him. But Anna says she's an orphan and has no home to go back to. Frank is forced to let Anna follow him. The next day, they went to the cinema, but as soon as they sat down, 3 young men came in. They were laughing and joking and calling loudly for a friend. The 4 of them were eating snacks and talking. Frank couldn't take it anymore. He took Anna and moved to the front row. But there were still people in the front row on the phone. The two of them were speechless. And that's when a few youngsters see them as easy to bully. Threw a handful of popcorn at them. The young men were molesting an old man in the cinema.
Looking at, old man.
What they didn't realize, Frank had just pulled out his gun, but Anna stopped him. Anna was a terrible shot. Frank couldn't take it anymore. He took the gun and shot them one at a time. The men were quickly killed. And Frank went to the last woman.
Thanks for not talking during the feature. Thanks for turning off your cell phone.
You're welcome.
Two men returned to the hotel and turned on the TV, only to be surprised to find it had been changed to one of those brain-dead talent shows. Frank couldn't believe it. A few lives are not even as important as a talent show. And that's when there was another so-called expert on TV giving advice. The two men had a new target. It was to advise the expert to die sooner rather than later. The next few days, an old man and a young woman officially started their journey to eliminate the harm to the people. For example, the one who takes up 2 parking spaces and curses at others.
Fuck you!
For example, those who dance in the square early in the morning and don't listen to advice. Extremists who parade down the road as if it were their own home. Those who offer to pay Frank double the price. After a while, Anna offers to go and live with Frank in France. Frank, who was terminally ill, thinking that his days were numbered, so he readily agreed. But on the same day, Frank's doctor called him. He said he had got the wrong test results. He didn't have a terminal illness, just an ordinary migraine. Frank was stunned. Not only that, he saw a news story on TV about a search for his daughter, and the daughter was Anna. It turned out that Anna was lying to him. She wasn't an orphan. She had an entire family. Her parents loved him very much. The thought that he had taken Anna and killed so many people, Frank felt a sense of regret and remorse. And Anna, who had been exposed, kept explaining to him because she woke up every day to a world of hypocrisy and the arrangements that her parents thought were for her own good. She had lied to him because she wanted a different life, but Frank couldn't care less. He still gave Anna a car key, and with nowhere else to go, Anna has to go home. Looking at the news, Anna returns to her family after falsely claiming to have been abducted. Frank smiled with relief. Then he found an arms dealer. After buying a large quantity of weapons, he broke into the local TV station with his gun. There was a live talent show going on. The fat boy on the stage is singing and dancing his heart out. In return, the audience boos and jeers wildly. Frank rushes onto the stage with his AK. He shot the 3 loudest laughing audience members. Then Frank unzips his shirt to reveal a bomb. He shot the most annoying judge and then called the remaining 2 judges on stage to dance like Fatty. The audience then laughed at the judges as they had just laughed at Fatty. At that moment a security guard sneaks up and more police arrive on the scene. Frank couldn't care less about the sudden appearance of Anna. Speaking to the camera, he spoke his mind. America has become a cruel and vicious place. Then, Frank told everyone there to apologize to Fatty because it had been reported in the news. The handicapped contestant Fatty had jumped off a building after being ridiculed by the judges and the audience. But instead, Fatty told him, "I didn't kill myself because people were making fun of me, but that if he didn't kill himself, I would not have had the chance to be on TV again." After hearing this, Frank was stunned. Everyone is the same. Is there any way to save a society like this? He turned his head and looked at Anna without saying a word.
You are a pretty girl.
Thank you, Frank.
Frank then handed Anna his gun. Anna nodded. Then the 2 men raised their guns and fired at the scene. And as the police opened fire from across the street, the 2 men fell to the stage forever. And that was the end of the farce.